You're listening to the In My Head podcast, a place for open discussions about mental and physical health. This is not meant to be a diagnosis or treatment plan, but a safe place to share ideas, hear personal stories, and learn from trained professionals. Our number one goal is to remove the stigma surrounding mental health and provide resources for those struggling, as well as education for those who want to help their loved ones. Difficult subjects of mental illness, suicide, addiction, and abuse are discussed on this podcast. Viewer discretion is advised. Thanks for listening, and welcome to the In My Head podcast. All right, so this is a different episode, and it's all going to be me documenting my experience doing the carnivore diet for 30 days. And however that makes you feel when you first hear it, just hear me out for a second. Let me explain how I came to this. It's come over years and years and years how I've ended up at this point. So I've dealt with anxiety, depression for a long, long time. I dealt with physical pains and problems, chronic pain, all that stuff. I've tried so many different diets and things to try to tweak the way I eat and see how it affects me, how I feel mentally and physically. I've done full-fledged vegan diet for 90 days years and years ago. I think it was 2011 when I tried that, or 2012. I've done paleo. I've tried all those things. I've tried like the juicing. I started this year out thinking this is the year I really want to dial in what I'm putting into my body. I want to be more conscious of it. I want to see how it affects me physically and mentally. And like always, for the last 12 years, my idea has been to be more of a plant-based eater because I tended to read more books like that, like the China study, things like where they talk about these studies of populations that have been very plant-based and they've had the lowest rates of cancer and all these things. So you're hearing me say this and you're like, okay, then why did you go the totally other end and do a carnivore diet, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's full meat, only eating meat for a certain period of time. I can't even tell you how many doctor visits I've had in the last 12 years. I lost count forever ago. I can't even remember when I lost count of how many visits I've gone to, how many blood tests, MRIs. I've had endoscopes down my throat. I've had countless appointments with chiropractors, massage therapists, trying to figure out craniosacral, lots of things, trying to get to the root of a lot of body pain I have. And I usually do come back to needing to manage stress and anxiety because there's no question that plays a part. For sure, that plays a big part. And so that has been a lot of my focus in the past years is how to manage stress, anxiety, depression, and hopefully it has the effect of helping you feel better physically, which in a lot of cases it does. I actually personally don't know anyone that's done the carnivore diet. I've only heard through podcasts, YouTube channels. I've been following the work of Dr. Paul Saladino. Someone connected me with his work. He's obviously a medical doctor and he is very big on this, the carnivore diet, and his is all based in evolution, and that's how we ate a long time ago, and our bodies have adapted over tens of thousands of years. So that's his theory behind this. I've also heard that same argument on the plant-based diet, and you watch like the documentary like Game Changers and you're like, how on earth are there any scientists saying that a carnivore diet would be beneficial? And then you listen to the carnivore argument and you hear all these benefits and all these people supposedly claiming autoimmune diseases and all these things that nothing they ever tried ever helped them get past those things. And so I've always struggled with this. I've always struggled with finding the right thing for me. And I've got to this point where I truly don't believe one diet is the cure-all for people. Maybe some people do believe that. I don't. I believe our bodies are so complex, and where we grew up and what our parents ate, what our grandparents ate, the lifestyles they had, all that DNA gets trickled down into us. So our bodies are very complex. Our minds are very complex. And so for me, I've just believed, and I've said on the podcast since I started this, is I'm just a believer of whatever. If you're doing something that is helping you feel well mentally and physically, more power to you. Because for me, the goal in life is to have that mental clarity, that mental peace, that physical ability so that I can be well, I can play with my kids, I can live a long life. And the odds are stacked against me, I'll be honest. My dad passed away when he was 63 and was one of the healthiest guys I know. It goes way back in my family of stroke, heart disease. And so it's made me realize when a lot of people do a Whole30 diet, when they do a carnivore diet, when they do a vegan diet, a lot of people do claim these big benefits mentally and physically. And we might immediately say, well, that means the carnivore diet's right. That means the plant-based diet's right. I look at it as they probably eliminated a lot of things that weren't great for their body. So if somebody goes to a vegan diet, maybe they were eating McDonald's a couple times a week, few times a week. Maybe they were eating a lot of sugar right before bed. Maybe they're drinking tons of soda. Maybe they have a problem with drinking too much alcohol. Like there's so many factors. So when people do these Whole30 diets or something and they're eliminating all those things, they start feeling better. So is the answer that it's the plant-based diet or that they're eliminating a lot of these bad things? I have no idea. I don't know what the answer is. And so I figured, why not just be the guinea pig myself, try it on myself. I'm not even inviting anybody to join me on this. I'm not inviting anyone to try it because I have no clue what's going to happen. I might get to the end of the 30 days and feel way worse, but at least I'll know. So I'm kind of just using my body, putting it on the lines and my mind and see how I feel. And so my idea was to try this for 30 days. And if I do start feeling better, start slowly adding back in other things that I like. Start adding in leafy greens, some fruits slowly and seeing how I feel. And maybe I can get to the bottom. Maybe it is gluten. And I know that gluten-free is a big trend right now. And there's a lot of people studying why that is and why people aren't feeling well on gluten. A lot of people believe it's the way it's farmed now and the way it's stripped down and the way it's mixed with other things and the things that they're putting into the soil, bad soil. There's lots of reasons why people think that. Just like it sounds, I'm only eating meat and I'm coupling this with intermittent fasting. And I chose to do the 16-8 intermittent fasting where you have a 16-hour window of fasting and an 8-hour window that you can eat. Basically, I'm going to try to follow 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. is my eating window, and then 7 p.m. all the way until 11 a.m. is my fasting window. I am curious to see how this makes me feel, mostly mentally. I don't give a damn if I lose weight. I don't care if I gain weight on this. I'm strictly I'm letting my body, my mind be the guide here. And so I'm hoping that's smart. I don't know if it will be, but I'm trying to let my body tell me if this is a good thing for me or not. And one thing that's always been why I've never even considered this diet, why immediately when someone says on a podcast or somewhere that they're doing the carnivore diet, I immediately turn my brain off. It was like when somebody talked to me about hunting, I would just turn my mind off. I wouldn't even allow myself to think that there's anything positive about it. Yet, because I had lots of friends that hunted and I wouldn't even consider that that's a good thing. Yet I would go to the grocery store, still buy meat, chicken, beef, steak, all these things, and have no clue where it came from. Yeah, I'm mad at somebody who goes out and hunts and gets it themselves, all natural, uses every part of the animal, feels a very deep spiritual connection to the spending the days and hours out in the cold and hiking and getting in touch with nature. I had a problem with that, but I didn't have a problem with going to the store and buying food that probably was from chickens that were stuck in cages and pumped with hormones and antibiotics, and cattle that were not getting good food for themselves. And so that's kind of the conundrum. And that's where I've allowed myself to open my mind to maybe this being an option. And if anything, I get to the 30 days and I don't feel better and whatever, and at least I'll know that that's not a good option for me. The reason this was always contradictory to me is because everything I've read over my time of like trying to study food and like diets that are beneficial and how it affects your mental clarity is because everything I've read is that meat causes cancer, meat causes heart disease, meat causes this. Doctors saying that, documentaries like The Game Changers, that I'm a videographer, so I totally get the power of stories coupled with music and editing and how it can shift you emotionally to believe it. So whether it's right or wrong, these are powerful messages that I would listen to and immediately just accept as fact. And so that's what's been contradictory to me, is everything we've heard is that meat, red meat, all those things are the things that shoot your cholesterol through the roof, that gives you heart disease, it gives you cancer, all of this. So one thing I haven't found though, is that possibly true? But is it true because the people that are getting these things potentially are consuming meat that isn't healthy for you, is meat that is pumped full of antibiotics and hormones in animals that are mistreated? Is there some connection there? I have no clue. So with that in mind, the carnivore diet isn't just you can only eat meat. You can go to McDonald's and just eat their patty. You can still go to, get chicken nuggets. You can do anything like that. That's not what it is. It's you have to eat the healthiest, nutrient-dense meat that you can find. And so this is in no way an endorsement for ButcherBox, because I don't even know anyone who's used them. I just have heard them on multiple podcasts being a very ethical company when it comes to getting you nutrient-dense, healthy meat and animals that are treated well throughout their life. I mean, we're too small to be endorsed by someone like that, so this isn't even an endorsement for them. And so let me just go through this isn't just only eating meat and blah, 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 and just seeing how I feel. So I'm trying to do this whole mind-body approach during the next 30 days. So I'll just read what I got here. The carnivore diet that I'm doing, only organic grass-fed meats, range-free, cage-free, free-range chicken. Same thing with fish. So I got some salmon from ButcherBox. I'm coupling that with the 16 to 8 intermittent fasting. So the 8-hour window, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., which is great because I've always had a hard time with eating late at night and eating right before bed, which is a big cause of a lot of stomach distress, digestive distress. When I go through phases of high anxiety, high depression, I tend to be up a lot at night. So I'll wake up middle of the night, 2 a.m., and I can't go back to sleep. So I'll just be up sometimes for the rest of the night until morning, and sometimes just for a couple hours. But I would even eat then, just to feel better, feel comfort, So this includes no caffeine. And that one I'm not scared of. A lot of people freak out about that because it's like, what am I going to do without my Diet Coke or my coffee or whatever? And I've done this plenty of times to know that it has big benefits for me. I definitely get less migraines when I'm doing no caffeine, even though I love my ritual of drinking coffee in the morning. It's just, I enjoy it. So that is the hardest part, is like the ritual and just loving the taste of it. And so no caffeine, no carbs, no dairy, no sugars, no veggies, which is insane because I absolutely love fruits and veggies. So that's what's funny about me even trying this. Obviously no processed foods. And so along with that, it's daily movement of at least 30 minutes. I feel like that's a very achievable goal. I've already started incorporating a lot of that. I'm a pretty active person, so it's going to include here in southern Utah, lots of mountain biking. My wife has been telling me for years and years that I need to do yoga, and I'll do it like once, and then my body hurts, and I'll stop doing it, and then I'll try it again in a year. But I've really been trying to give that a chance 2 to 3 times a week doing yoga. So I'm going to couple that with daily movement of at least 30 minutes, whatever that may be, and definitely at least 8 hours of sleep. All right, so some of the symptoms and issues, physical and mental issues that I've had for a really long time that I want to see how this diet affects. Anxiety and depression, obviously, I'm always talking about that. Migraines, I've had those for, I don't even know how long, probably 10 years I've dealt with migraines. Throat issues, so some people call this like a globus sensation, where it feels like something is stuck in your throat, but nothing's actually there. It's a very infuriating thing. And I've had endoscopes done and they're like, nothing's there. I've been to the ENT. They've done, the camera down the nose. And I've always just related it to stress and anxiety and just been like, whatever, it is what it is. And I've just gotten used to it, but I'm constantly clearing my throat. It's caused me to have a chronic cough because you're always trying to get something out of your throat. And when they did the endoscope, they did say, yeah, there's some inflammation and redness, by your stomach. And so if you have things like acid reflux, heartburn, GERD, where food is coming from your stomach back into your esophagus, that's another way you can get that sensation. You can have some tightness, inflammation. I've also had migraine medication that I took for a long time, and that was one of the side effects, was tightness in chest and throat. And those are always risks that you're weighing, like, do I want migraines and do I want my migraines to go away and then potential heart problems later on? Like, you're always weighing these things when you're taking medications. But I quit taking that migraine medication because I would have rebound migraines. So it would get rid of my migraine, but then I'd have another the next day. And that process would go on for like 5 days until I would just have to have a gnarly migraine for like a day or two sometimes, and then it would go away. But I got off that medication. My goal was to get off that medication for this year and give it a long period of time to see how that would affect like my throat and see if that was the issue causing that. So anyway, that was a long rant on the throat stuff. Body and joint pain and tingling. I've had that for, I don't even know. I've had back pain for a long, long time. I had a really bad ski injury back in 2009. So lower back pain. So I've had MRIs, chiropractic work, countless massages, physical therapy, acupuncture, dry needling. What else? Yoga. I do the teeter up, the back inversion table, lots of things, because I get the sciatica, I get the pain that shoots into my butt and down my leg, into my foot. I get tingling and numbness in my feet really easy, numbness and tingling in my hands, neck pain, shoulder pain, tingling down my shoulder blade. So lots of this stuff, neuropathy, like pains and tinglings in my feet, even down to my finger joint pain. And when I've gone to doctors in the past, I got an X-ray in my back and they're like, oh, it's early onset osteoarthritis. There's nothing you can do. It's just going to get worse. That's just what they told me. Went to another doctor that's like, they can't tell that from an X-ray. So I don't know why they told you that. I got an MRI and they're like, yeah, there's definitely something going on, but it's not whatever. So I've gotten a ton of different answers of what's going on. And I've done so many different things over the last decade to try and treat these things. Anything from pain medication, which I finally got off of because I was like, I didn't see any end in sight, and I just had to take more. And then I was starting to have issues because of those. So I've done so many different things, but I haven't consistently done an elimination type diet. I mentioned doing the paleo and the vegan diet, but when I was doing the vegan diet, I was still eating processed vegan foods, and I'm pretty sure I was still drinking soda. Like, a lot of these things have these little caveats of things that I was doing not fully. I did the paleo diet, which I did feel well, but it didn't like take away body pains, and I don't remember it doing much for me mentally, but it was a long time ago, so I don't remember. And so I'm wanting to see those symptoms. I'm wanting to see what happens to those. I want to see if they get any better. I want to see if they get any worse. Because like I said, I've done certain diets and it's made them worse. And so Dr. Paul Saladino, some of the things he talks about is people are reacting negatively to certain vegetables. Tomato is a fruit, but some of these things, corn, he's saying some people have something going on in their body that is causing these inflammatory responses. And so he's saying a lot of people are seeing those things reversed or feeling better with a carnivore diet. It could all be BS. I just want to try it. I want to see how it makes me feel. I made kind of this food journal log, activity log that I'll have pop up here, and maybe I'll just give you a link to if you want to download it and see what it's just a PDF that I created. And it's kind of just got a table of the day, how much sleep I got that day, or that night, what I ate, very specific. So anything I eat that day within that intermittent fasting period, activity I did for the day, and then I've got notes on my physical and mental health. I've done this before. In the past, I was doing it to see how like medications affected me, which I think is a great thing, by the way. If you're doing anything like trying a new diet or you're trying a medication, especially for your mental health, I think you should do, even if I did one time just notes on my phone. This is how I felt today. Day 2. This is how I felt day 3. This is how I felt day 4. And I started and reading those things, I realized like, whoa, I was in such a much worse state 3 weeks ago than I am now. And it helps you realize like you are feeling better. I've got a lot of optimism going on because I'm kind of like, what else can I do? I'm open to trying anything. And I wouldn't even call myself an advocate of any of this. It could be a total, shit show that at the end of 30 days, I'm like, all I know is at the end, I'm not going to tell you to do it or not to do it. I do know that because this is for me. And if it's something that works for me, maybe it's something for you to consider, or even if you just need that push to try something different. And maybe it's the fully other end of the spectrum. All I know is I'm at the point in my life where I have zero judgment of what people try to do to feel well mentally and physically. I know the mental hell that you can live in when your anxiety is ramped up, when you feel depressed. I know what it's like to not feel well physically. I hold no judgment for people that are trying to get feeling better. And so that's what I'm doing with this. And I understand if you're hearing this and it's just something that just goes against the grain and you don't even want to listen to it, I completely get that. Feel free to never watch this video again. Don't share it. I'm just running an experiment on myself. It's Valentine's Day, February 14th. I'm going to try and do it until March 15th. Here we go. We'll see how this goes. It could be a total bust, but thanks for checking this video out, and I'll keep you posted along the way. After I got done recording this episode, I chatted with a friend, and I was talking to her about what would be most insightful for people if they're curious about the carnivore diet. And we were talking about doing a video every day. So it's a lot more work for me, but this episode is just going to be on my YouTube channel and on the podcast. If you want to follow along and get a good feel for how this is going, just go to our YouTube channel. You can subscribe, like it, get notifications if you want to be notified when I post a video, but I'll probably be posting a short video each day, just giving an update on it. So thanks so much for checking this out.